Okay, so the OnePlus 8, not to get confused with the 8 Pro, has incredible battery life, it's got amazing performance, as expected with any OnePlus phone, and the back is just beautiful until you start to touch it. It'll also fit in your palm better than the 8 Pro since it has a smaller display, and it has no water resistant or wireless charging. Oh, and I love the software, but that goes without saying. Oxygen OS, top notch. Those are my biggest takeaways after using this phone for 3 months straight. But I know you guys want the details if you're on the edge of getting this $800 flagship, so let me tell you my overall experience. I received this phone back in early April, and I remember pulling it out of the box and seeing how beautiful the interstellar glow was. It seemed like a great response to the Galaxy Note 10, super reflective, colorful, and a fingerprint magnet. It may not be as color reflective or have as big of a color spectrum, but it's still just as pretty, especially when you walk in the sun with it. I also noticed how much lighter, thinner, and smaller it is compared to the 8 Pro model, even though on paper it may not seem like it since the screen is only 0.23 inches smaller, but in person, I found the size difference to be drastically noticeable. I used the OnePlus 8 Pro for an entire month alongside the OnePlus 8, and I definitely had a much more difficult time using the 8 Pro. Just reaching some of the top areas for things like incoming notifications or Instagram stories was not pleasant. Another thing that I liked about the regular OnePlus 8 is that the curves of the display aren't as drastic as those found on the OnePlus 8 Pro. It was a lot easier to avoid accidental touches, so it just felt like the perfect size phone. But even though it did provide a comfortable hold and the interstellar glow looks beautiful under any type of lighting, it's still the king of fingerprint smudges. It can get dirty so easily and quickly that it's not even funny. So after a few days of getting over the rainbow look, I decided to slap a dbrand skin on its back. They also just so happened to sponsor this review, so big thanks to the boys for looking out. The skin that I love to use on the OnePlus 8 is their Teardown Skin, which lets me see the internals of the phone. The OnePlus 8 doesn't have a red battery, but fun fact, it was still an Easter egg that OnePlus included in their older models, so it's still pretty cool that dbrand shows this off. If you're not digging it, no worries, they have plenty of other textures to choose from, and they also support plenty of different devices, including tech products that aren't smartphones. Plus, dbrand doesn't just sell skins. If you don't mind having a bit of bulk for extra protection, I really recommend picking up one of their grip cases. I got one for the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro, and they are extremely heavy duty. They're also customizable since you can stick a skin on the back of it. If you're interested in checking out any of these dbrand products, go to dbrand.com/HowToMen, or I'll include the same link in the description to support the channel. Anyways, a big plus for me on the OnePlus 8 was that the screen was also bezel-less. Well, almost bezel-less. It still has a hole punch camera cutout and some minor bezels, but I still had a fantastic time watching movies, playing games, or scrolling through social media. The front camera hole punch never really got in the way. I even installed an app called Energy Ring, which adds a battery ring indicator around it, and even though the screen is 1080p, that never really bothered me either. I even forgot that it was a lower resolution just after a few days of using the phone. What was noticeable was the downgrade from 120Hz to 90. Don't get me wrong, the OnePlus 8 still felt smooth and fluid, but when jumping to 120Hz, the animations are on a whole other level. It's a feature that I miss having when using the OnePlus 8. There were also a few other screen advantages that came with the OnePlus 8 Pro, but I was never really bothered by the fact that they were missing on the smaller model. Things like a slightly brighter screen, a feature to make videos look more fluid, a better color accuracy with better HDR enhancement. Listen, those extra display features can be important to a small group of people, enthusiasts mostly, but the majority of users won't even notice the difference unless the phones are side by side. I think if you're willing to pay the extra fee, it should be because the phone has a bigger display, higher refresh rate, and better resolution. To me, that's worth the additional $200. That and water resistance. I can't tell you how many times I came to a circumstance where a water resistant phone like the OnePlus 8 Pro would have come in handy. For example, when my phone gets dirty, I like to put it underneath the water faucet so that it can get cleaned easily. Or when I'm at the swimming pool, it's nice to use the phone without worrying about it slipping out of my hand and getting ruined if it falls in the pool. That's another reason why I think the extra $200 is worth it. A few weeks into using the OnePlus 8, I was really impressed by the battery life. I expected it to be good, considering that it has a huge battery capacity, but I wasn't expecting it to be this good. It even outlasted the OnePlus 8 Pro, which has a slightly bigger battery size. On the OnePlus 8, I usually got a screen on time of around 6 to 7 hours with moderate use, while on the 8 Pro I received an average screen time of around 5 hours when I switched the resolution to Quad HD and 120Hz refresh rate. I know everyone liked that option that OnePlus gave us, unlike Samsung, but the combination, it's still very deadly for the battery. Unless you truly care about those extra pixels, most people should switch to 1080p, to obtain those extra hours of battery life. When I switched to 1080p on the OnePlus 8 Pro with 120Hz still enabled, I received a new screen on time of around 7 hours. But the great thing about every OnePlus device is that even if the battery is mediocre, which the OnePlus 8's is not, but even if it was, the charging speeds would easily make up for it. For example, once in a blue moon, I forgot to charge up the OnePlus 8 overnight, but that didn't even bother me since I could just throw it on the charger for 30 minutes while I went and made some coffee, and when I got back to the phone, it would already be at 50 or 60%. It's just incredible. Another charging feature that I just can't stop expressing gratitude for is OnePlus's optimized charging. In other words, the OnePlus 8 can learn your charging habits and will only completely charge to 100% when it knows you're going to pick it up and use it. For example, if you left the phone to charge overnight, it will rapidly charge to around 80%, then it will slow down and only complete charging in the morning when you wake up in order to save battery performance in the long run. It was also nice to have wireless charging on the OnePlus 8 Pro. The regular 8 doesn't include those charging coils, unfortunately, but even if it did, you would still need to purchase OnePlus's $70 wireless charger if you want to charge it up quickly. With other keypads, the 8 Pro charges much slower at around 5 to 10 watts. I used the OnePlus wireless charger, and let me tell you, that 30-watt wireless charging speed is incredible, but I ended up not using it for various reasons. Firstly, it won't charge any other phone at those same speeds. Secondly, it's pretty bulky and kind of unattractive. And lastly, it's also not a good idea to charge the phone if you have a metal plate on the back of your case for those who have a magnetic phone mount for your car. So I found it annoying because I had to take off the case every time I want to charge the phone wirelessly. And again, it's $70, which is a bit hefty for most people. So if you're looking to upgrade to the Pro model just because it has wireless charging, expect to also put up $70 for the OnePlus first party charger. Otherwise, you won't be satisfied with the wireless charging speeds. Now the OnePlus 8 is fast. For the most part, it's got identical specs as the Pro model. The only difference is that it has DDR4X RAM, while the Pro model has DDR5. That doesn't really make a huge difference, especially when you consider that both phones have the same RAM capacity at 8 to 12 gigabytes. To demonstrate, the OnePlus 8 opens apps instantly, animations are always buttery smooth, biometric unlocking methods unlock the phone at incredible speeds, even faster than some big name flagships like the Galaxy S20 Ultra or Google Pixel 4 XL, and I just love gaming on this thing. Sure, 120Hz would provide a better gaming experience, but most mobile games don't support 120 FPS just yet. 60 or 90Hz seems to be the norm, so OnePlus 8 is perfect for that. Plus, it even supports 5G. It may not be millimeter wave unless you get the Verizon model, but in my testing with T-Mobile, I had no problem using the internet with decent download speeds while I was out and about. I guess what I'm trying to say is don't think that just because the bigger Pro model costs a couple of $100 extra that it immediately means that it's much faster than the smaller variant. Most of the time, both phones have the same exact speeds, and this is definitely the case for the OnePlus 8 variants. What is slightly different is the camera setups on both variants. The only thing that the OnePlus 8 Pro has that the non-Pro doesn't is a telephoto lens and the color filter camera. If you live in China, this infrared lens has been disabled unfortunately due to the fact that it can see through plastic or clothing, which is very controversial and can also be considered to be an invasion of privacy to some people. On the OnePlus 8, the telephoto lens has been replaced with a macro lens, which was extremely fun to play around with. I could get remarkably close to a subject and see details that I could not see otherwise if I wasn't using this camera. And the rest of the camera setup is still a copy and paste from the 7T, so it still has a 48 megapixel main lens and a 16 megapixel ultra wide. And when I took pictures on this device, just like its big brother, it seemed to run the pictures through a filter and excessively modify the colors, contrast, and saturation. It's not very accurate, but I can see how some people would like this fantasy look. With the colors popping like this, it tends to grab the attention of most users, especially when you're sharing it on social media. When it came to low light performance, it was always a hit or miss situation. You have to be extremely steady with the camera, or it's really easy to make some of the subjects look blurry in a picture. There's also a lot of smoothing going on, and color balance is usually on the warmer side. But occasionally I do get a couple of great shots in there, and they even turn out looking better than most shots that I've taken on the Galaxy S20 Ultra, which is over $1,000 device. I also love the video quality on the OnePlus 8. Videos are always smooth thanks to the built-in hybrid stabilization with OIS and EIS. The audio isn't as great as the OnePlus 8 Pros, but it still sounds decent with two microphones on both the bottom and the top. Plus, I love that they recently updated the camera to support the new H.265 HEVC code to reduce video storage seamlessly without compromising the quality. So that means I can record in full 4K resolution and the file size will still be very small. Finally, the software on the phone is spectacular. Oxygen OS is by far my favorite Android software, even over Google's stock Pixel experience, and this is because it just has a ton of exclusive features that are very useful. You have things like Game Space, which is the best gaming mode on any smartphone, period. The OnePlus launcher has options for customization that most other stock launchers don't have, such as the discovery panel on the homepage, icon pack support, home screen layout modification, and hidden space to hide apps. Dark Mode 2.0 lets me force a dark theme for unsupported apps like PayPal, Google Translate, etc. I also use parallel apps to duplicate some of my socials to quickly switch between accounts from my app drawer. There's an awesome customization menu in the settings, which makes it real easy to modify the UI in just a few minutes. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. As for the software updates, OnePlus has been doing a great job of pushing them out fast, even with everything going on in the world right now. They even released the first developer preview for Android 11 for the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro, and I made a video reviewing it, so if you're interested in watching that, click the eye in the top right corner. This is why you don't need to worry about this phone becoming outdated even a few years down the line. In the end, my overall experience with the OnePlus 8 has been spectacular. I've never really encountered any major issues on this phone. Of course, that's not to say that it's perfect, but it's such a fantastic flagship that I would even recommend getting it over the OnePlus 8 Pro. First off, you're saving yourself $200 by not getting the Pro version, and the differences in both phones aren't that drastic. They're both just as fast and have spectacular battery life. The software is exactly the same besides one or two features. For whatever reason, the OnePlus 8 even comes with an exclusive interstellar glow model, which outshines any colors that come with the 8 Pro model. The only reasons why I could see anyone getting the bigger model are because they really can't live without water resistance. You're dying to charge the phone wirelessly, even if it means purchasing OnePlus's $70 first-party charger. You prefer a bigger phone in general, or you've always wanted to try out 120Hz. But honestly, other than that, the experience will be extremely similar. Either way, that's my full review of the OnePlus 8. If you'd like to see my review of the OnePlus 8 Pro, click the eye in the top right corner. Also, don't forget to check out those beautiful dbrand skins or grip cases. It's the ultimate way to customize your device, and their prices are fairly low, and while you're at it, get subscribed. You're not going to want to miss out on any future videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Kapow!